We all set? We all set? Thank you so much, Millie. Hello, everybody. Call this meeting of the New Shoreham Town Council to order. Today is Wednesday, August 20th. It is 7 p.m. Is there any public comment tonight? Anybody? It's item 3 on our agenda, is the consent agenda. Any items that anybody wants pulled off of this?
Couple of things.
Yeah.
Not that we,
No.
we could address last time.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
On the minutes,
Yes.
where it says, Mr. Home noted the following regarding the correspondence. Number two, number 2 on that electrical crystal. I hadn't brought that up, I think someone else did.
Oh.
Other than that was the other thing.
Okay. That it? Take your time, Bill.
On E, I just had a question, on the, Department of Environment Management of the draft. For that, for the stormwater discharges. I couldn't quite understand what it was.
It's a general permit that they're holding a public hearing on, and so that is more to get that information out to the broader public for someone who may have an interest, but it's not something the town is going to make any public hearing on.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to approve the consent
Can I-
calendar?
well,
Oh, sure.
quick-
Sorry, Nancy. I'm sorry about that.
Just on C, on the contract for the audit, is our audit done? Is it?
Our audit for 24 is nearly done. So the audit itself is completed. It's the MTP, which is the state add-on in the back that is just about finalized.
Okay, so we'll see it at some point.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So move.
Is there a second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 4, opposed, no. Ayes have it. Item 4, board, commission and committees. First is we have to appoint a representative to the Hodge Management Committee. And Tristan has expressed a willingness to do that until December. Is there anybody else who'd be interested? Can I have a motion to? Yes.
I am on that, was on that. Is it a two-part?
It's two.
It's two, just checking. Got it.
We've had enough
Okay.
of the way you've behaved on that board.
It's the easiest board to be on, but I just wasn't sure if Tristan was replacing me.
Yes. Can I have a motion to?
Make a motion to appoint Tristan.
I'll
Second.
second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We haven't received anything on Commission on Motor Vehicles for Hire, sewer or water conservation. We did receive one volunteer for police advisory, but that has just gone on, if I recall correctly, so it's not timely. Item 5 is the public hearing, et cetera, on the historic district. Can I have a motion to convene the public hearing, please? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We're now in public hearing. I don't know who would like to start. Amy, do you know? Should have asked you this before the meeting.
I think I'm just saying if Peter is with us. He
Oh,
was
Peter
having
would
some
start.
trouble getting
Okay.
it. Peter, are you with us?
Yes. Hello.
Sorry about that.
That's all
Hello,
right.
Peter.
Good evening.
Yeah, well,
Thank you for having me.
Peter is the town planner. For those of you who are here who staff this effort by HDC and planning. Peter, go ahead. Do you want to walk us through this? Is that what works best for you?
Yes, I will do that as best as I can. So, my familiarity with this effort begins with the planning board. So there was a proposal by the Historic District Commission to
Right.
expand the historic district that went to the planning board. And so a few months back, we had an introduction of that, and then the planning board opted to do first class mail notice to all the affected property owners. And that went out and we had a meeting. I did recommend to the planning board that the district be expanded as proposed by the Historic District Commission. And I'll let others speak to the specific parcels, but just generally, Block Island has fantastic natural landscapes that are worthy of preservation. And then also the historic built structures of the affected areas contribute to the town's economy through the tourism, and that would benefit from the additional HDC review, in my opinion. The planning board appreciated the work of the Historic District Commission and asked the HDC to add one more property, which the HDC did go back and vote, I think 4-1 to add that property. And then the planning board forwarded a recommendation to you to approve it with a finding that the proposed change is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Peter first off? About the technical side of this? From the council? He's going to be here all night. I just, if someone had something front of mind.
There were a couple of objections to the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are in your packet.
Yes. Yes. Margie?
Would like to talk on behalf of the planning.
Yes, come on up. Just identify yourself and address, et cetera. Margie, please.
Okay, my name is Margie Cummings, and I'm here on behalf of the planning board. We strongly support the HDC in their quest to open up and update the HDC overlay map to include 3 new sections, which Peter has referenced. But this area 1, which is Beach Avenue to Ocean Avenue to West Side Road, to Corn Neck Road from Beach Avenue to Plot 4, Lot 70. And the 3rd section is Old Town Road on either side of Connecticut Avenue. That's about 70 parcels that would be added to the HDC area. And of that 70 parcels, there are about 45 property owners, and only 2 of those did we actually hear having some concerns. And I won't say they were negative comments exactly, but there were definitely a couple of concerns. So 2 people out of 45 is a very small percentage. We are very interested in supporting HDC for several reasons. There are actually quite a lot of them, but I'm just going to highlight just a couple. One, we want increased protection for Block Island for both its architectural and its cultural heritage. We want to make sure that the houses, historic houses particularly, are recognized and work with homeowners to historically protect using historic materials or updated materials that will be appropriate. And that's one of the things HDC has been very useful on in getting current materials to work with historic houses. We're also interested in having the 3 areas make sense. At the present time, for example, on one side of the road it is protected by HDC, on the other side of the road it is unprotected. This does not bode well for future development. We certainly want all the areas to protect it, to take care of the character of both the houses and the area. So we're very concerned that all of these areas be put together so that it is a logical way of protecting the entire area. We're also interested in continuing the guidelines that the HDC has, because that makes it very easy for staff to work with potential people because it's very clear on what is allowed and what is not allowed. So we are strongly supporting, as I said, the HDC. We've got a couple people here from planning tonight. That's because we felt it was extremely important. And if you don't have any questions, I will turn it over to HDC to talk more specifically about each individual parcel.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
Got one quick question. Was the planning board, I attended, I know it was on at least 2 agendas. I think I attended.
I know you were there for at least one because I remember talking with
Was
you.
it unanimous?
Yes, it was unanimous,
Thank you.
absolutely. And as I said, Associates here tonight, and Mary was supposed to come, but I don't know what's happened with the weather. A couple of our members are on vacation and off island, it is
Yeah,
August.
yeah, of course.
So,
Yep.
if we can get 3 people here, we're pretty happy.
Yes,
Okay.
Arlene,
Arlene?
how are you?
Hi, Arlene Tunney. I'm Chair of the HDC. And our thoughts were for the parcel that's opposite the hog pen, the whole hog pen side of the street is in the HDC, and the other side of the street is not. And as we know, there's a lot of vacant land on the other side of the street. And we'd like to have it protected so that a Butler building can't be built there, one of these big steel structures. So it stays within the look of Block Island. The other area is Connecticut Avenue. Some houses there are protected and others aren't. And I think Martha can talk about the history of that area. Yeah, okay. But, at that time, somebody said, I want to be in, I don't. And that was a long time ago. So we'd like to just protect that one strip of land. And the third area is where the weddings are held and Innisfail. It's beautiful there, and we like to see it stay beautiful. And we don't talk about what color you can paint it or how to mow the lawn. And we just want to keep it in the vernacular of Block Island. And the current owners have been very good about taking care of those properties, but properties change hands, and you don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And then we were asked to add the property next to the new inn at Old Harbor, New Harbor. And it made sense because it's the only one not in it. The police station is in it and the power station is in it. So it was just one property. And I think that's about it. Are there any questions?
Can I ask a couple? So you say you were asked to include the property next to the inn, asked by the homeowner or who?
I think by planning.
Oh, okay. And then, sorry, my other question was, when you both use the word protected, you're talking about historic character. You're not
Right.
talking about protected the way that we often use that word to keep open space open.
Oh, no, not at all. It's just to have whatever's built there be in the same vernacular as the historic
So I just want
character of the town, right?
You're
No.
saying that if a new building was to go up on this land across from the hog pen,
We wouldn't like to see a metal industrial building going up there.
I just wanted to clarify that
That's-
because we often use the word protected for open space.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's not our purview.
thanks.
Any more questions for Arlene? Martha, you coming next? Your hand.
Martha, she'll speak to the history.
Hey, I'm Martha Ball. I have been on the town council. I've been on the HDC. I was acting chair of HDC for over a year. I was vice chair for quite a few years. I am not. I'm just a member now. I'm the vice president of the Historical Society. I've been counselor, first warden, second warden. But I want to run. The last time I ran for election, my tagline was "I'm old and I know stuff." And I thought I was being very clever. And I had the horrifying realization that it was true. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to give you all more history than you ever wanted, and you, or some of most, you play with me. Okay, way back. In the 1960s, the town enacted zoning, plain zoning, and when zoning first came in, it was residential A, residential A, residential B, residential C, and one business zone which ran from the old harbor to the new harbor, including the corridor in between. There was another thing on some maps, you'll find coastal if you really want to look, but nobody ever understood it, so we eventually got rid of that. That was in the 60s. In the 80s, HTC came in, and thanks to Millie, we found the original deed in the vault, not the original advertising. And this is important because when HTC very first was introduced, was Howell Conant. Before, I don't have the dates, probably the 70s, might have been the 80s, early 80s. He wanted it to, he was working on Nantucket and Newport, and was very, very, very restrictive. And everybody just said, no, we can't do that. And then they went back to this very simplified form, which I think everybody at the time, as we all know, happens. On Block Island, you go, oh, we'll go back and fix it later. That was 1982. So this is the map.
Thank you.
Just for information, the first members of the Historic District Commission were Jim Ernst, Fred Howarth, Blake Phelan, Herman Hassinger, Norris Pike, Thomas Mitchell, and my mother, Luella Ball. So we have the HDC in place. We've got zoning. And the 80s, as some of you might recall, development exploded on Block Island. And there was a big push to refine the zoning, to change the zoning, to have more refined zoning districts than we had. That's when things like mixed use, residential mixed use, service utility, and so forth were added. And that was adopted March 4th, 1989. But nobody remembered HDC was based on the original zoning. So it never got aligned. And it wasn't until I was on HTC that I realized the Barrington and the house, at the time, the Island Home, weren't in HDC. And I said, well, how did that happen? And then I went back to the original maps, and in fact, there were a number of places, wagon seals up the road. I've mentioned these at other meetings. And we've been extraordinarily fortunate. A place like Kretschmer's, Summerhill, the places that have had great stewards over the years. And I wouldn't want all of the work that those people have done to be undone sometime in the future if property changes hands. Who knows? We are not. So that really gets us about to where we are today, with it still never having been realigned. There are some things that it just makes, I mean, to me, it makes sense, and I'm speaking as an individual, to have the zoning lines and the HDC lines match. Or to have half of your land in one and half in the other is just, makes it easier for land use, it makes it easier for planning, it makes it easier for everything. I would say, and this is just a matter of things that have happened in the past to allay people's concerns. HDC out here has been, and I think will continue to be, lenient in ways that might not be other places. And the National Hotel, which I think of as the flagship of downtown, is a really good example. When the National was redone, I know there were people who were very upset. I was not on HDC at the time because they were allowed to put siding and not wooden clapboards back on the building. The same thing with wooden windows, that I think everybody who has property out here and deals with the elements knows that it's just really difficult. And we have really made a concerted effort to let people do things that you're not going to know if you're looking at it from 10 feet away. A handful of people say, oh, the patina's lost. Well, you know, I'd rather have lose the patina for 10 people than lose the hotel for everybody who sees it. And that's really, really important that everybody understands that there's nothing in here that's changing any of the rules that we have. We're not going the way of Nantucket. We're not going the way of, we're not proposing to go the way of Nantucket or some portions of Newport. And I think that about covers everything that I had to say. I will say one thing that, and this is from, 25 years of working at Malcolm's and more recently at the Historical Society and talking to people who come to Block Island. And because I think we tend to see what we've lost. We look and go, oh God, that building came down. Oh God, that building came down. Or why can't it be like it used to be? Or how did that get built there? And people who come in, they don't see the parking lot. They see the National, they see the Surf, they see the Spring House. They see these glorious structures. They see the open space when they drive around the island. They talk about the open space, and I'm thinking, okay, great, that's what you're seeing, that's great. And I think we have to, take a step back sometime and talk to people who don't see it through our eyes, but do see what we have managed to accomplish and hopefully will continue to. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I sat next to Martha for 4 years on the town council, and at least once a month, Martha took to educating me on how problematic it is that our zoning maps and our historic district maps don't match. Who else would like to speak tonight?
I just
Oh, yeah.
ask Martha a question?
Yes, Martha
Just
Millian.
A couple
Molly.
questions about, is this the first adjustment so you get, the map you gave us says effective February 1st, 1983. So is this the first request to adjust that since 1983, or have there been previous changes? I missed that.
That had been a very big proposal.
Can you use the microphone?
Yeah, sorry.
I forgot I don't have my own microphone.
Sorry.
That was the one that had included things like the cemetery and had gone all the way up Center Road. And I think, I don't remember honestly, that was the one where we just said, no, it's too much. We can't add this much now. Come back with something that's more reasonable. And that just never happened. Because again, we'll do it next year. There are a few things that were added that were, that map is one of the last maps that we did, the one that was advertised. That was, no, that are, the old one.
The old one you
Black
gave
and-
us?
yep.
Okay.
That's a drawn onto some existing map. The list of plat lot numbers was, it was the first time they had used, I think I just finally hit the right spot. That was the first time they used plat lots in an advertisement. And there were a couple of lots that were inadvertently omitted, and those were added. As far as anything else goes, there might have been something here or there, but it would have been a correction. In my mind, of course, this is a correction, but, or some of this at least is. Did you have something else, Molly?
Yeah, so the other question I have is, and you or anyone else on Historic District, I would be curious to know, so what are the parameters of, like, I think, we have a few letters here from people, and I want to make sure that we're all clear on what can the Historic District require you to do? What can they not require you to do? What are the parameters that you guys work under?
We have guidelines that are printed. I mean, if there's anything specific, that would probably be a lot easier to answer. I do know, I can tell you years ago, I don't think I was on anything at the time. I think I was just being hysterical over something that somebody had done. And I called Ted Sanderson. Ted was the head of Rhode Island Preservation from the time he was a kid on a bicycle until he retired. And I just remember Ted saying to me, Martha, calm down, pick your battles. Paint can be changed. Don't worry about things like paint. Don't worry about things that are not going to be permanent. And I think that's a really, really good standard. But nothing here is changing anything in the result in the regulations we have, which we are looking at again because they do need to be updated.
Okay, so maybe I need to be more specific.
Yeah, please.
If I'm a homeowner
Mhm.
of an antique house, right, which I am, I'm not in the Historic District, but if I were,
If you want to be.
yes, we go, I go all over the place here. What if, let's say I want to reshingle the front of my house and replace the windows, right? Like, that's a pretty normal thing that old houses have to have done. Maybe I want to switch from clapboard to shingles. Can I do these things?
You have to get permission.
What's the process?
You come in, you talk to whomever's in land use, and they will determine if it's in kind, in which case you don't have to come to HTC. If you're just replacing shingles. If you're going from clapboard to shingle, vice versa, you might have to come in, probably would have to come in. There shouldn't be any problem with anything like that. With windows, as I said, we've gone almost exclusively to composite, vinyl clad composite because they're just so much better in the weather out here. And that doesn't meet Department of Interior standards, but you know what? Rebecca doesn't meet Department of Interior standards, and we got a $170,000 federal grant for her. So they do have an understanding of weather and what's realistic.
So I don't have to replace wooden single pane glass windows with wooden single pane glass.
I don't know if you could even get single pane, can you?
Just
No,
It's
speaking
an
from
important
working
example. Yeah.
no, they'll be wooden on, they would appear to be wooden on the outside. I mean, just look at in town at people who have replaced, well, the example that I'm always give is the Star Department Store. Few years ago, they redid the storefront. And I would ask people that summer, what do you think of the work they did at the Star? And people would say, what work? And I'd say, well, they worked on it all winter. I mean, but they're extraordinary stewards of their building. And they didn't even have to come to us because they were keeping the original glass and they were replacing with wood. And that's generally how the current board operates. I can't say what another board would do, but that's the way it is now.
Again, if I'm the homeowner of the antique house and I want to make a change, am I going to be stuck having to purchase more expensive building materials because you guys have some higher standard, like
Because of
buy regular shingles, or do I have to buy like super expensive shingles or?
the shingles, the windows are building code, which has nothing to do with us. You're probably going to have to be getting more expensive windows, but that's not our call. That's somebody else's. The hurricane windows, all of that. That's not HDC. That comes from
So the,
far above us.
so the historic district requirements are not going to force me to spend more money, but the building code might. is
Yeah,
what
but that's the way it is right now. Nothing's changing in what we're proposing. That's all we're talking about is adding a few lots.
Right.
We're not changing,
Molly's asking about the
what I'm
implication.
thinking is that
but it would be,
from people who have concerns about being added, I want to find out how valid those concerns are, right? So if I don't want to use examples of
well, I would say what I said before.
as the example. So would it cost me more money if I was in the historic district than if I am not in the historic district?
You'd have to talk to the building official to answer that question. I can't answer that. I don't think it would, given the way everything is. It's very hard to take that question out of the context of today's building and today's building requirements. It's not going to change the building code, which is getting worse and worse every day. It's not going to make you put in a different kind of window.
It might make you put in 2/2s instead of 6/6.
Not 2/2s and 6/6s.
Style.
Maybe 2/2 instead of 1/1, depending upon, it's big difference, Keith. It depending upon where you live,
Than you might otherwise have planned to put in.
Right.
depending upon where, sure, but it depends upon where you live, what the neighborhood is and what the history of your own house is.
I'd like to, before you do, I think to follow up on what Molly said, however, if it sounds like there's more leniency towards a vinyl window than it was in the past. But regardless, if I am going to replace a window that is a wood window with, a vinyl window, whatever it might be, I would still have to make an application, go to the Historic Commission and present what I want to do in order to make that change.
It depends what you, Arlene.
Yeah. Well,
Changing from a wood window to
it depends. If you can go to a vinyl window. What we're concerned about is the muntins, the window dividers. We don't want the flat boards that have no articulation to them.
Mullions.
Right. So, I mean, Anderson makes, and Pella, and another company, they make it so that it goes on the window just like this, and then there's a spacer thing between the panes of glass, so that it looks like an old window, and that might cost a little bit more money than having just the flat piece of stock there, but it's not a lot more.
We're not talking about big money. We're talking about like a little bit.
A little, yeah. I mean,
variation,
yeah.
like okay.
Right. And,
That's what I'm
if somebody has 6/6, then, they can go with 6/6 as long as they do that. Because once you go to thermopane, you can have individual panes, but that would cost a fortune. So,
Go ahead, Nancy.
Can I ask a question? I know, Martha, you talked about following the zoning in the old residential zones. What was behind the decision to pick up Residence A out Corn Neck Road? I mean, that's the extension.
That's not Arlene or somebody else is going to speak to that.
Yeah, that's the one that bothers me the most, is that the extension out Corn Neck Road that was never part of it before, and which includes a load of just empty lots that the Nature Conservancy owns, where there won't even be any structure on it, and houses up on the crest that have been preserved beautifully.
Well, I think we can all agree that they have been preserved beautifully and they're wonderful pieces of architecture. And we'd like to see them stay wonderful pieces of architecture, because if one of those properties is sold in the next 10 or 15 years and somebody wants to put a development there, zoning might allow it. And it could be not too nice.
Well, zoning's never going to allow a development up there. I mean,
Well, it's a 2-acre minimum zone,
Arlene, can I ask, on Beach Ave, we were at a meeting and they talked about originally I think it was extended to include the DBA's property.
The what property?
The Spring House property at the end of Beach Ave. And then someone in the audience said, why aren't we including the house next door? I believe there's a letter. I didn't see it in this packet right here, but I read a letter. And he brings up the point that his house was built in the 70s and so forth. I thought it was a very good letter. And then it just seems like, so at the next meeting, said, oh, let's include that house too. So, I'm concerned about the creep. I think that the historic does a good job. I think there's a definite place for it. But the kind of creep to it concerns me when I look at that house, particularly when he has a power company across the street, a police station and so forth. And I said, well, then why are we including Dr. Parrish's house and go on down all the way down the line with it? So that's where my concern gets in a little bit to that end of it. And an example to that was, it was just talked about once in the meeting, and next thing says, oh, let's add that one to it. Went back, and then suddenly I said, yeah, that one's in it also. So,
Well, I think we have to ask planning about.
No,
Yeah.
it's because it's in the
Hey,
same zone.
Martha,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
Because it's in the same zone, and this is, some different people on Historic District had different objectives with this. And mine was aligning the zones, HDC, with the zones. And that lot is in the same zone designation as Frank's new building and the Barrington. And that's my understanding of why that was included. It wasn't pulled out of residential A. It was already in the zone that it was a mistake to leave it out in the first place when we made the original recommendation, and it would only be exacerbating the issue we're trying to address and keeping some, trying to think of different words besides alignment. I'm not doing very well here. Uniformity, consistency, just sense in the land use office, where there are going to be new people and they're going to have to learn this and they're going to say, why is this? And they're going to be, well, let's ask so-and-so. We can't ask so-and-so, she's dead. And I'm not really joking. This came up today when Millie and I were looking for this map. The first thing I think, well, okay, I got to call Edith. No, I can't call Edith. And that's actually a good example of why we're doing this. Not,
it's a zone on Old Town Road, because I'm not familiar with it.
I don't know that, Bill. I can't answer that.
Can I finish my question?
Margaret Brain's old house.
No, no.
That you're
No,
talking
we know.
about.
Let's just
So-
let Bill finish his question.
Yes. I'm
Honestly-
talking about a different spot now, okay? I understand you're saying that the Brain property on Beach Ave is in the same zone as the 1661. And does that zone end at that piece of property? I'm 1661, I apologize.
I know what you mean.
It's in a different.
Yeah. No, it's the same.
It's listed here as residence, 590 is listed as residence B. And the Spring House. And five.
Oh, I thought it was the other way. I wasn't at the meeting.
Yeah,
I thought that's how it was represented.
well, it's not. It's not in the same category as Frank's and
Maybe that's not why maybe that's why we didn't put it in the first place.
So then, and to follow up on that, so I think that's somewhat problematic there.
funky
To
name.
follow up on Old Town Road where Wagon Seals is down here on the,
Right.
right, and on the opposite side of the road where Larry Constantine's house was, and so, is that a different zone? Are they in the same zone, this, both sides of that?
I don't know without the map.
Because again, when we come to, we're looking at Connecticut Ave, we're saying, well, let's cross the road also to keep it consistent. Then I can see another argument coming down the road. Well, why don't we just cross the road on Old Town Road? And when I come around the corner here, between Merrill Slate's house and,
Yeah, what's right
um,
up here is
to
listed.
me, doesn't appear to be historic, but
The zone.
I look and say, where are we drawing that line? You know, and then across the street. And that's kind of the creep factor that I kind of looking at, that I'm concerned about from that end of it. So.
Okay, well, let's confirm what zone it's in.
Yeah.
Because again, we did not include it, and that's probably why we didn't.
So I'd like to sort of address what Bill's comment though, and say that like, right now, the house my husband is working on, right? The house that was there previously, which was a cute house, right? Knocked down. The house that's being built across the street from that house, knocked down. The house around the corner from them that's being built right now, knocked down. So we're in this knock it down, build up era, right? What I see a pattern. 3 in like spitting distance is a lot. So I think we have to take a much longer view on this and say, sure, that's what's there right now. You know, it's Margaret Breen's old burger with a second floor, right? But is that what's going to be there in 20 years and 40 years, right? We don't have any control over future owners, fires, property leaving families for different reasons. So
Death, divorce, and destitution. We have no control over those three, which are the only three things that usually move a house on Block Island.
I'm
Yeah,
just-
and so I guess it comes to a philosophical view, then, you know, I guess there's someone who believe the whole island should be in a historic district.
Well, Bill, to speak to what you're saying,
Bill,
1983 was the
Bill-
last, I'm sorry, Bill Cook,
Yeah.
Vice Chair, Historic Districts. 83 was the last time we've changed it. So there's not a creep. I think that might be a bad choice of words. And if you look at that and I take the purple out, that almost looks like a very gerrymandered district, to use a turn of phrase being thrown around a lot. All we've done is rounded it out. And to speak to particular sections, I know for a fact that these 3 large offers were made on these 3 large sections, as well as across the street 2 years ago. Do you want to leave that open to good stewardship with somebody with $40 million? Because most people with $40 million, the first thing they're not thinking of is this island. That's one of the reasons we really wanted to protect that corner. And most of the additions, I'm sorry, the southern and that addition round out the district. It actually makes it look fair. Instead of that somebody kind of took a pencil and went around the houses they wanted to. To what you were saying, to help kind of crystallize, because I feel like we've gone macro, micro, without hitting the middle to what you were saying. At times it will be expensive, a little bit more expensive, but that is the nature of having a historic home. And we do not make people spend money. When they come to us, yes, we hold them to a standard, but it's in kind. There are, being honest, there will be times, pieces of molding, some historic stuff that has to be recreated. That's going to be more expensive than replacing it with something that isn't in kind, that's off the shelf. So yes, so that we're not called liars, sometimes it is more expensive, but that comes with buying a home and maintaining it. You know, if you buy a historic home and you want to maintain it and it's in the district, you knew that when you bought it. that we would most likely expect anytime.
Wait, but you have to use a microphone too.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, well, everybody, let's calm down. All right, well, certainly, would you like to come up and speak? Okay, well, certainly, Sean. I'm not stopping anyone.
Hey, Sean.
That's a rat. You worry about street, that's a rat.
Okay, good.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name's Philip O'Brien. I don't know you, Mr. Stover. Nice to meet you.
Nice
I
to
know
meet you.
everybody else on the panel. I'll try and be reserved. I know you've received my letter that was sent to the Historic District Commission, which was ignored. I have read, thanks to the clerk, the advisory opinion that was sent to the Historic Commission, which led to the petition that is before you. In the top, the gentleman that was just up here talked about rounding out the top purple part from Innisfail down to what is Conservancy at the tip, has been, since it was developed, owned by my family on the O'Brien side and on the Ball side. I'm in this tribunal today with my family, who's behind me, addressing this gentleman who I don't know. The first objection that I had, I'm not going to read my letter to you. I know you've all reviewed it, but the notice provisions of either the advisory board or the Historic Commission, and then ultimately now to you, certified letters were sent in regards to this, but the other notices were woeful. The gentleman, Peter, who got up and said 3 people responded. I know Ketchmer did, I know I did, and there was another person that did, that submitted letters. That is not to be taken as some sort of tacit support for the proposal that is before this tribunal in regards to expanding. Rhode Island case law on the Historic District is pretty well set. Contrary to what Martha was referring to, given deference to her experience on various boards for however many years, from the 50s going into the 60s, the General Assembly empowered local towns such as New Shoreham to have historic districts. And in my letter, the most recent letter today, I tried to point out that the rounding off, as this gentleman calls it, that is a residential area. I'm able to speak, I'm 58 years old. I'm able to speak on a generational basis, meaning my dad's family was the Sullivan House, the McGregor House. McGregor was my great-grandmother. We used to stay there all my life. My sister Rosalie and my brother Mike in the back. I know the trials and tribulations of the divided ownership of that in my lifetime. I find it curious that either the advisory board or the Historic Commission would turn to Martha and say, hey, what's up with this property? Nobody called my sister, nobody called my brother, nobody called me, and we're right up the road. I don't think anybody's even been on that property. I can't remember the last time Martha was there. And I remember when your mom was coming up there. It's been years. I'll address that point in a minute. The northern part, Ball, I wrote in the letter, since the place was built, the Sullivan House was built, the homestead was built, the barn was built, the bungalow was built by Simon R. Ball. My middle name is Ball. I'm not Martha Ball, different family. My grandfather and her dad were friends, but different family. I'm not going to be impolite and ask, when she talks about these zoning, when it came in, according to the General Assembly and the guidelines which the Historic District Commission has to have because they have to be followed. And they are. So it's not like a whack-a-mole response when either Molly O'Neill or I forget if it was you, Mr. Stover, or somebody asking, is that going to increase, is the imposition of the historic district requirements going to change the operation? I could give you a practical application tonight. Thursday and Friday, I'm rebuilding the X that's on the porch of the bungalow. And I'm putting it with what was original there, spokes. And when I say original, I don't know you, Mr. Stover. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep it, but I know you, and I know you, and I know your family. I certainly know you, and I know Molly. I met Molly's husband from building the bungalow, from building the homestead. And when I say building, I'm not talking about the original. When each of you go down and get coffee down at Payne's, take a look up at the photograph. I kind of laughed when sitting behind you is, I think that's Dunn's Corner. And my argument to you is the neck should not be covered by the historical district because it should either cover the whole neck or it should stop where it is. I spoke with Johnny Swenton today, saw him down at Payne's. I was surprised that Swenton's is involved in that because I was trying to distinguish in my submission today the peninsula, which I know you called it the Ridge, Indian Head Neck Road. You can travel parts of Indian Head Neck Road. The only reason why it's there is because my grandfather and my great-grandfather used to pull all the brake lines, and then they dumped chassis and then backfilled that. My mother, this was about 18 years ago, one of her friends was digging out a foundation. Hey, would you put that over the bluff? That's why Old Indian Head Neck Road is there. My point, this has all been residential. There's a little section there. I didn't hear anybody talking about the historic district and the concern about the big bad developers that are going to come in and build over there. I didn't see any Mott letters. Did anybody reach out to the Motts? Nothing. Talk about, oh, whether it comes out of a family and the family's being stewards. Hello, I'm one of the stewards. The other two are sitting here in this room. Our next door neighbor is sitting beside him. I'm a steward. I'm not selling to anybody. You know. I'm hoping that my wife, if I go first, or my daughters and their children's children will have the same carry-on that I have. People up here standing in front of you with the gall to talk about, oh, it's 6 over 6 and 2 over 2. I didn't hear anybody ask, have you ever hung a window? I do. In the wintertime, people driving by and driving by and, oh, we want to preserve for Block Island. These are property interests. And with great responsibility is the maintenance of that property interest. I heard a lot of we's and we and we. This lady here and this lady and the lady behind her. We. Who is we? I've never had a conversation with any of these people. I don't know what they're talking about. When they talk about, oh, well, we're backing off of the historic districts, you have to follow them. That's what they're there for. The legislation that allowed it speaks to that. The case law isn't that great because nobody has tried these expansions like Block Island did. And it does look like a fill-in. It looks like one of my daughter's, coloring books. There was no answer to how was Indian Head Neck, the peninsula, selected. Gerrymandering, that's a totally different legal concept. That's about voting. You don't round over. It inures to the land. I put in my submission, each of these houses, my sister and brother-in-law's house is 4 years old, 5 years old. The Sullivan house, totally redone. I mentioned the pre-existing non-conforming use. I wasn't a lawyer then. I wrote that. Mark Tilson used to kid me. He says, oh, that's the Bible. I keep it in my office in case somebody comes in. Because first, when in settling estate issue that had gone on for generations. And that was my mom. My dad was dead. Martha, you talked about people dying and people are going to remember, oh, I can't call Edith. Well, hello, in our family, we passed down. What was this house? What did this house look like specifically? The homestead. You can see, I was going to bring in pictures, but then I'd be talking more about a specific house to the council, and some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. But if you look at the homestead, that was a lot. The whole lot was a farm. I can show you on the property. See this post? This post is near lot 73. You can't find lot 73, and nobody knows what it's like because they didn't know that they used to lease out in 100-year leases. That's how the bungalow was portioned off. And it was built by Simon R. Ball. So now when there's all this great talk about developers coming in and a steel building coming up, I had to get, this is kind of funny, but a couple of years ago I came into Mark because I was tearing down an outhouse. It wasn't used anymore and I filled it in, $50 or $100. My point, the zoning that's already in place includes coastal resources. It includes all the zoning in Zone A. There was no, back in the day, in the 80s, and Martha might have been on the houses now, Mike's house and Tad's house. That was built on the land of Simon R. Ball's brother, Martin V. Ball. What would you guys care? You wouldn't. But in regards to an overlay of the historic district on a residential district, the fixes that the historic district has proposed, well, those fixes were done back in the 80s. The O'Brien family and the Ball family objected to the filling in of a middle road to get a road in so Nick DiPetrillo could build a house for his brother and a house for him. Well, the house for him was dormant for 10 years. I wasn't doing a name dropsy when I dropped Brian Wilson, but when we talk about stewards of the land and stewards of these buildings, Ellen O'Brien sat there with Brian Wilson and put in the homestead a house that was gutted. You can still go in there today and see the stone foundation. And then the rest of the whole half of the house, Mr. Stover, you haven't been there, but so you're just seeing it from a distance. Tip O'Neill, that's how I met him. Bill, you've been up there, so many houses. The Payne family has been up houses. What I'm saying is each of these homes, when they were rebuilt, had to go through the vetting process. It's untrue that, today that the last, but I don't know what the future is going to do. As far as colors on a house, I painted the bungalow gray because people were getting confused between Cleveland's. And nobody's heard from the Clevelands, so, and they're not here on the island. I wonder if they got notice of today's hearing, because I'm sure Mr. Cleveland would be here. But be that as it may, which White House? Everything was whitewashed back then. When the McGregor house, which was the same color as the Sullivan house, was painted yellow, all the chit chat, all the gossip, oh, I love it, or oh, I hate it, or all the wheeze offer their opinion. Okay, well, that's part of Block Island. The house on the west side, they painted, orange. I like it. Looks kind of like Ireland. But a lot of the wheeze have comments. These aren't comments. This is a zone. This is a historic zone. When you put a historic zone, despite what's kind of mealy mouth being floated around, oh, we're much more liberal than we are right now on wooded or vinyl. Tell that to Johnny Swenton, who was just telling me some of the go-round that he's had to go through with not only his property, but the historic district. I wasn't trying to be funny guy when I sent the message back. I've watched on social media some of the historic district hearings, the engineer and the surveyor to come in because you want to change some windows. Porch blows off in January, because we get 70-mile-an-hour winds on the bungalow, I'm fixing it. The time that it would take to come down to the historic district, and maybe, depending on who's the board or whoever the next generation is, maybe they'll say, okay, maybe not. And I guess we don't have time. Everybody's busy. I'm not talking like I'm too busy, but when you have to fix something, you have to do it now. Do you think either of these people have ever put in a window? I don't. I have. As far as having builders do each of the progressive properties that I'm talking about with lot 74, redoing the bungalow. That was redone 7 years ago. Fixed up the kitchen on the inside. Outside looks the same, fixed up the kitchen. New roof on the bungalow, new roof on the barn. New heating units in each. Innisfail, you were mispronouncing it. That, my grandmother, there's a story people are writing about it, and I'm not trying to get nostalgic, but if we're gonna name drop about your mom, we're going to name drop about some lady named Gertrude Murphy Ball. Half of the people on Block Island wouldn't be able to read the historic ordinance if it wasn't for Gertrude Murphy Ball. But her family is a Murphy that came from Innisfail. When asked about trying to extend the historic district on Old Town Road, that was a proposal too, but that was stopped. How do I know that? Because my cousin Neil has the Old Town Inn. This expansion sounds great, but you're expanding, or you're being asked to approve expanding a historic district into an area that has always been residential. And more importantly, part of the historic district enabling legislature in any town, with the General Assembly, is to unify buildings and architecture. So in addition to telling you that the interior of all these buildings has been redone in the past 30 years, the external stuff has been done in the past 100 years. If you came up to the homestead, you can actually see where the line was when it didn't have a porch. You can actually see the new addition that I've been, describing. And each of those wasn't done willy-nilly. It was done for a purpose. My grandmother lived in the homestead back in the 70s when oil was, nobody cared because it was cheap. And then that changed in the 80s. And then in the 80s, the house was too big. So we rebuilt the barn, which is one of the properties that Peter on the planning board, or whatever his function was, said, okay, well, we'll include that house. Nobody has asked the owners of these properties if they want to be included. I didn't think it was funny. I said, oh, do you want your house there? Martha's house is down the neck. Martha's house isn't there. She could be there. More importantly, is like, look at that. And I described an island cruise. This is a 7 by 3 mile island. We drive by everything in the day. We drive everything at night. Just looking. Some genius thought it was a good idea to say, geez, look at those houses up on the hill or up on the ridge or whatever. I think the historic district should be in charge of that. Their property rights. Take the good with the responsibility part. And it should not be like a tidal wave put on top of these properties. We've been good stewards. Show me where we haven't, show me where the concern for the development. You can't, because it doesn't exist.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I understand I understand his position. I understand everything he's saying. what he doesn't understand is he wasn't listening to a word I said, which was, as an individual, I voted for the whole thing because I wanted to move the whole thing along. I wanted to align where'd he go? Your brother is. I said I wanted to align zoning and HDC. I wasn't going to say I didn't agree with what everybody else on the board said. I didn't. I don't think Indian Head Neck should be included only because it doesn't fit what I wanted to get done here, which was keep the zoning and the HDC together. And as long as you're in residential A, as far as I'm concerned, it's not part of it. I hope that would get pulled. Honestly, I hope that would get pulled out tonight because it doesn't. Obviously, everybody who looks at it, we all know how wonderful it is. And yes, the yellow house is beautiful now, and we've all gotten over it, and we'll all get over. We have. Well, actually, I think it's, I'm not sure I never know what belongs to whom up
Okay.
there. But anyway, I just wanted to make that point, not to, I'm going to leave it at that. And no, I have never hung a
great.
window.
Fair enough, Martha. Thank you.
Okay. Can I just clarify something? In the letter, it was questioning whether everyone had been appropriately notified. Is that was done? Was everyone appropriately notified?
Yes, everyone received a return receipt, certified mailing, who was proposed in the district, and all of the abutting properties for the proposed area of the district for tonight.
The first time.
Right, but it's not normal to notify people when it's something that's agenda'd in the paper. This is a hearing. A hearing is different. Yeah.
Come on, Rosalie.
Just to follow
Hold
up,
the microphone up.
just to follow up on some of the things that Phil had pointed out. So what you're seeing here is what happens when there's a complete lack of consultation with the people that you're trying to put regulation on, right? The owners of this are unilaterally against it when it comes to that peninsula right there. What you're hearing is frustration at a complete lack of engagement with the people who actually own the properties. So we're stewards, and that's great, and that's true, but we're actually property owners with property rights. We didn't buy homes in historical districts. We built the homes that you're trying to put in a historical district. It's offensive. And that's maybe the frustration you're hearing when people talk about protecting these properties from who? From the property owner? Because that's me. That's my brothers, my husband, Tad over there. It's all the actual people who literally work, as you, I know, work as well, every single day, go to great expense, great effort. And by the way, you can get a single paneled window. Don managed to do it at the Sullivan House 2 years ago at great heartache, great expense. We don't need a committee. We don't want a committee. We reject the concept as property owners with property rights of a committee of any sort making decisions that we are best suited to make. It's our right. It's our responsibility. We exercise it properly. The lack of engagement, completely unacceptable. We unilaterally reject it. So this should be voted down. This happened in a very offensive way. That's really all I have
Thank you,
to say.
Rosalie. Anybody else?
And I just wanted to clarify one more thing that was brought up in one of the letters about the town water. I'm not sure why it's in the letter, but they said we don't even have town water. But since the water guy is here, can I just ask, the water district is different than the historic district?
Yeah,
Am I correct?
the moment we start deciding what we put underground, that's crazy.
Okay,
No,
so-
I'm just joking,
No,
but yeah.
But
Yeah,
water
you're not gonna-
district, I just want to clarify, right, that we have a historic district and we have a water district.
Yeah, they have nothing to
they're-
do with
they're
each other.
For the-
Absolutely nothing to do with.
One and the same,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, if you had a historic water district, you'd be putting in wooden mains. That would be a problem. But no, nothing to do with anything.
Just,
Yeah.
wanna,
No,
thank you.
nothing. Yeah, nothing
Yeah,
to do with
please
it.
come up.
My point only was,
Could you
it seemed like,
identify yourself?
sorry, Tad Acero,
Back there.
1178 Cornack, live amongst this awesome crew. And if you're looking for passionate stewards for these properties, you've seen the passion here tonight. We bought the house in 2017. It was a residential zone. That's what we bought. That's what we bargained for. It becoming part of the historical district is just a lot more barriers to general upkeep and that kind of thing. We've been to some historic district meetings, and we do think that they're great. And as you say, we worry about the next owners, what's going to happen to these properties. But you also said the historical district is very lenient. We worry about what the next historical district committee might have. But the comment about the water was, it seems like you want us like in the town. And one of the big problems we have up there is water. And if you want us to join the town, bring us the water. That was my only point.
Got it.
Like if you want us to put up, you put up too.
We missed the setup line and got the punchline.
Gotcha. So that was it. But again, we bought it as residential, and you see the passion and these homeowners, and that does not look like it fits into the rest of that thing. And it's just seems like an overstep. That again kind of came out. And that was the other thing too. The notice that we got is just like, hey, we're doing this. There was no like, here's why, here's what's important to us. It just was like, here, we're going to do this to you guys. If you have anything to say, show up. But there's no information in there about why. And we've heard a lot about why. And I think it makes a lot of sense that you want to protect these properties. But you also say the stewards are doing a good job now. I think we should let them continue.
Anybody else want to speak at the public hearing? Come aboard. Well, no, Arlene, there's someone behind you who's before you.
My name is Charlie Gustafson. I own Plat 5, Lot 95. I think I got that right, the house at the bridge heading down towards Smugglers. I just want to mention, I'm still neutral on the idea, but in the notices that we received, it didn't really spell out, well, what does it mean to be in the historic district? What am I going to have to do if I want to change my windows, which I do, because they are rotting a little bit, so I got to do that. But what does it mean? Does it add value to my house, or does it decrease the value? Because right now that my house is subject to the town, also subject, because we're in Title I waters, to all the CRMC regulations. Like I can't even spray for poison ivy without getting permission. It's that kind of thing. So I'm still neutral, but I don't really understand what does it mean that we're now part of the historic district. And I think that's missing for the homeowners.
Yep.
I'm just a little concerned, we have no plans as a family to sell the house, but does it decrease if when I excuse me, when I do
Take your time.
well, someday's gonna come when I do pass away. What the kids do, I don't know, but we do plan on forever keeping the house in a trust and keep it going for my grandchild and maybe his children. But I think it's overlaying much more regulation without really understanding what the impact is, particularly from a value perspective. So I'd like to see that like really spelled out in a future communication.
Fair enough.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Arlene.
Well, Charlie, if you want to change your windows, you're more restricted by code, building code, than you are by us. I know your house. It's very nice. And I just wanted to say that you guys have taken incredibly good care of your properties. I didn't mean to disparage them at all. I think it's wonderful. And we'd just like to have it remain wonderful.
Hey, Sean, if you're gonna speak, come up to the microphone. I'm sorry, but it's our. I know.
Sean Kivlan. I'm an immigrant. That's the reality. I came to the States on a green card. I married Rosie. But one thing about America that I always loved was your freedom. This might seem small. To someone like me, it's very big. If people can come in and just decide that suddenly you have to go to another committee to do something to your property that you're working really hard to keep, to pay the taxes on. This family loses sleep over taking care of their properties. You know, we're a hard-working family. It's not, you all know that. We're all in the same boat, right? So we shouldn't make little of that. So I would ask the council to seriously think about the generational factor of that peninsula there, what this family has tried to do and what it will continue to try to do. And if something comes up outside the control of the family, that's in the hands of God. We can't control every factor. But this family plans to have this for generations. So please consider that.
Thank you, Sean. Anybody else? Now, Millie, just so I get the procedures right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing? Second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. So what's before us is the proposed change. We can, because it's been agended that way, we can act on it tonight. We can decide not to act on it at all. We can decide to put it off for any more information that we want. So we're not, one of the members called me today and said, you know, what are our options here? And I just wanted to be clear and say that to everybody. And I'd open up the floor for debate, for any kind of motion, et cetera. So are you saying for all of the changes? Okay. Is there a second? Okay. So I would I've struggled with this. I think all five of us have. We at every meeting talk about the need to have good and capable, thoughtful volunteers for tough jobs in the community. We have the HDC and planning, which I think there was one no vote on both of those. So, you know, among both of them, no votes on this. I found most compelling for me a letter from Gail Hall, which is in your packets. That was really about some of the properties that are for sale in New Harbor that are that concern me. If you read her letter, it's I think it's pretty thoughtful. While I would be open to the idea of not doing the Sullivan House property, if you will, Indian Head Neck, whatever, you know, however people want to. I do think that the notion of matching up the other properties that are, I think, in a way, errantly outside of the historic district overlay. To me, that makes a great deal of sense. So I won't be supporting this motion. But I would support a further motion if people wanted to take that property out of this proposal.
So I would be in favor of something more along that line, but, and I want to say that to sort of mirror what Keith is saying is that I don't think this was done without a lot of effort and a lot of consideration. But there seems to have been a little bump with drawing in the people who it most affects. So I think it might have been helpful when the letter was sent out, if like a copy of the regulations were sent out so people could read them. I sort of accidentally ended up at I don't know whether it was planning or historic district a couple months ago. And so I did hear a different property owner who didn't write a letter and isn't here tonight asking a lot of questions. And his questions really circled around, like, what's the cost of this to me, right? What's this going to cost me if I want to replace my deck, my porch, is it going to cost me more, right? So I've been thinking about that a lot. I haven't been back to any other meetings about it, but except this one. I wonder whether we could, because I do think this was done with a lot of consideration and thought, but a misstep involved. So I'm wondering whether we couldn't ask the boards to come back with like choices, like, so this is one choice for us to consider. What would a different choice be for us to consider? And also more information for property owners about what are your obligations? What are the pluses and minuses of being in the historic district? Does it lower your property value? I've never seen any evidence that it does. But that's information, that's data that we could pull up for sure. We could see what a properties in the historic district sell for is related to properties outside of it. So that's all I would wonder, is whether we couldn't just slide this back for choices. But I would not be excited about turning the entire thing down and not taking it up again at all.
Are you done? If you, okay. So I'm going to support the motion to turn the whole thing down, and that gives the HDC the option to do some of the things that you suggest going forward. But, I can't buy into the fact that this was very thoughtfully done when nobody has been able to answer my question, why it is being expanded up Corn Neck Road in Residence A. Makes no sense to me at all. And I think, every now and then when we get involved in these conversations, we bump up against what Block Island is now or what it's headed towards versus all the people who have been here for a long time and have not purchased houses, but inherited houses and are trying very hard to hold on to what that inheritance was and deal with the upkeep of those houses. I mean, we're in that position ourselves. It gets very expensive to hold on to things these days. But this makes the best way to do this, I think, is to say, go back to the drawing board. I would advise strongly against coming back in with anything that's an expansion up Corn Neck Road, because I think absolutely you've got people on this board who will never buy into that. If you want to get some better rationale for some of the other things, by all means, go for it. But I think the cleanest thing to do is to say no tonight across the board, and that's how I'm going to vote.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? No. So that was Macomb, Payne, Dodge in the affirmative, Stover in the negative. I didn't hear your vote.
I'm going to vote no,
Okay.
but only because I would like a different I would like it to be that we have a different presentation.
Great.
I don't know.
Keith,
Thank you.
I just want to add that I do respect and appreciate the work of the Historic Commission. And I think, and my motion was a reflection of the work that they do.
Great.
You to understand, zoning hearing guidance you work with, it's not anybody else's. Putting information out is up to what is holding the hearing.
Yes. Yes. And
Are you saying it's our obligation as the town council to provide all the background information to people who get a notice?
okay, we're going to move on. Item 6. Amy, report of the town manager. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, that was interesting.
Yes. I don't know whether there's one up here. I can't see far enough. No. We were just acknowledging some correspondence that we received from him. Not that I'm aware of, no.
He just sent the
He
letter.
sent a letter that we acknowledge in our, under correspondence.
Did you see a copy of his letter?
It's on Clerk Base. Just go to the council for August 20th and it's highlighted and you can click it and read it. Okay? Did you bring a raincoat or an umbrella? You didn't walk here, did you? Oh. Go ahead, Amy.
I needed a minute to find my report anyway.
Yeah.
And so to summarize where we are in August 20th, hearing from most of the department heads, they are feeling the throes of summer, and most of them would say that the last 2 to 3 weeks have been busier than at the start of the season, particularly the Victory Day weekend was busier than the 4th. And you can see that in both the police department, the harbors, rec has been very busy at the beach. And that's starting to add up. In general, though, that weekend was extraordinary, not just in the volume and the weather, but that there were very few incidents. And it's not that anyone does anything wrong when there are incidents, but it happened to be a very successful weekend all around. And that always feels really good for people.
Yeah,
So-
I think the communications helped.
Yeah.
I do. I know, I mean, I think you and Paul, who I think worked hard to make that happen, deserve a lot of credit for that.
The other thing that started to come out, as it always does this time of year, is that we start to lose our seasonal staff. So CSOs, Harbors Department, camp staff. We do happen to have lifeguards this year, which is great. We have a full staff of lifeguards through the end of the season. At the same time that we have,
Like coastal town
Yeah,
in.
I know. We also have 3 year-round positions that are currently being advertised, the Harbors admin assistant or the Harbors clerk, a highways position and dispatch positions. So if you know anyone who's interested, those are out there and available. We also have started.
Are those full-time positions, Amy?
Yes. Harbors is full-time seasonal, so it averages to 30 to 35 hours. It's higher volume in the summer, lower volume in the winter.
Benefit eligible.
But it is full benefit eligible. Yeah.
Can I just add on there, because I still think that our website is not user-friendly, and the list of job openings to find it on that website is not something that generally people can find easily. Can we?
We can look to move that forward. Sure.
Yeah, can we put it in, in the newspaper? Can we,
They're in the newspaper.
They're in the newspaper, yeah.
But, yeah, but blocked out, I mean, we're losing people reading the newspaper, number one. So, you know, the better location for something like that seems to me. I mean, can you find it easily and
I miss funerals regularly because I don't read the newspaper.
see? Yeah.
We've also been filling some positions that were included in the new budget. So Susanna Gardner, effective July 1, was appointed as the Assistant Director of the library. We've also staffed the part-time land use position. Looks like Jen's gone. But we did expand hours for Karen Ford, who's already on staff. And so that allowed her to get started almost immediately, being familiar already with OpenGov and the systems. And her initial focus has been on short-term rental enforcement and also preparing for the 2026 launch.
Great,
So she's already gotten started on that, which is great.
wonderful.
Happy to take questions if people have them.
Any questions for Amy? If not, you want to move on to the financial report?
I will, and Mona can't be with us tonight, but she did send these. Obviously, it's the first month of the new fiscal year, so you have a new budget and some new line items, but in general, you know, it's very early, things look nice. Tax bills went out and those are due for anyone who hasn't received them. Grace period is through the end of the month. If you didn't get your bill, you can reach out to the tax collector. And most of the seasonal revenue is exactly where we would expect it to be at this point. Expenditures are obviously very early. One of the things we'll start to do after Labor Day is look at capital projects and make sure that we're getting started on those now that we have a little bit of more capacity. So. But if anyone had particular questions on the financials, I'm happy to take a crack at them.
Amy, on the capital budget.
Yep.
So we're doing work at the Coast Guard Station. We have funding to continue.
Yes.
So is the work that's continuing now, is an end to that project, or is this a rollover to it? So in other words, in the last budget, was that a bid and it's done, or is it an ongoing?
No, that work was done and we start with new funding and sort of the new scope right after Labor Day or after it's vacant. And so we'll have updates for that probably mid-October. We'll be ready to talk to the council about what the work is for the winter season.
And just out of curiosity, I saw that they were delivering appliances up at the Thomas houses this week. Is that something that goes out to bid, or, I mean, how does the town handle that?
No, not on that one. We were able to get them at pretty good prices so that it didn't hit the bid thresholds for those. So, yeah.
And I assume the appliances are a good sign.
Yes.
And the fact that we're voting on leases. Yeah, right, exactly. Any other questions on the financial report? Shall we move to water? Is this you, John?
Hey, John?
If I have to come again, can you put me ahead of any historic district additions? It's okay. I know. I knew it already.
See you, John.
Oh, good to see you as well. So I've put together a memo here, and it kind of goes over, where we are at our project. We've come here before a couple of years ago for the bonding authority for the original project. And we're here really because, we had a bid opening, now a month ago. And, when I came back from it, I said, hey, Jim, are you sitting down? Because it was a little higher than we thought. So that's listed in here. And I'd like to start off at saying things are going well with the project. The tank is finished and completed. It's been operational this summer. It's been a big help with buffering, peak capacity, these big weekends. Obviously, it's been a banner summer, if you guys mentioned. We're seeing that at the water company as well. But it's a three-phase project, and you can't have a tripod here. It's a tripod project. So if we don't do one project, really, there is no reason to do the other parts, which are, I always start at the source, and we kind of went backwards. We did the tank first, but I like to start at the source because it makes the most sense. New source water, new treatment capacity, new storage capacity of that treated water are the three components of the project. So we're finished with the tank, which has been wonderful. The well field is partially completed. The wells are drilled, and that's also a little bit why we're in this position. We did drill an unsuccessful borehole, which cost us a fair amount of money. Nothing you can do about it. We drilled it. The hydrogeologist on site, the well driller, we decided to abandon that borehole. It cost us significant amounts of money.
John, to that, when you drill and you decide to abandon, is that because of the quality of the water, the depth, or everything together?
Everything together. When you go too deep, we're just going to get too salty. But it's really, whatever's down there at, let's say, 280 feet was about where we were. And if we go deeper, we just get it into saltier water. And if you're within like a 40-foot range, if you don't have good material that water can move through, you're kind of hosed. Yeah. And it's a bit of a crapshoot, and it didn't work out. It was not a fun day for me because I knew we spent a lot of money. But that's well drilling. I mean, I've talked to Rick, and he's drilled 3 or 4 holes on a property, and finally you come up, you move around. And luckily our second, the first one was good. The second one, we did move about 100 feet away, and that was successful. I'm not in the business of taking risks, but kind of had to, we had everyone out here, but it was successful. And so we've done pump tests on those wells. They were successful. We buried underground power conduit, communications, and the water lines, basically from the wells to where our well control building is going to go, and then all the way out to the facility. So that's all complete. That was a huge project.
Yeah.
It's pretty far away.
Yeah.
So that was completed in the spring. The bid that I was talking about was 1.45 million, which is the construction of the well control building, which is basically looks like the size of a detached garage. It's a 20 by 30. We're in zoning. We're working our way through zoning without many problems. It's just a small building, and the only reason it can't go there is it needs to be utility use. It's in residential A. So that's where we're at with that. That's expected to be finished by next year. So hopefully following summer we'll have the wells online. That actually might buy us a little bit more because the well's getting what I call tired at like this time of year. Believe me, I am so happy about this like Goldilocks storm that's going on right now because we have been running a lot of hours and this storm is a welcome reprieve. I shut things down very early tonight, which gives more hours for recovery, which they desperately need at this time of year.
John, can I just so I'm sure I'm following?
Yes.
The new wells come online in 26 or 27?
They should be the well control building slated to be done by the summer 2026. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
The treatment part is still in planning and design phase, which is just waiting for a lot of professionals, electrical engineers, structural engineers, to do a bunch of work for you, and they're hard to get and they take a long time. So we're still in design of basically a building renovation of the water treatment facility, which adds treatment capacity to our facility.
Right.
Gotcha. So basically why we're here is we got, Jim and I received this bid, and of course we start doing on the math and what's left of our original 5.6 million, which was in the top here, 2.5 million grant, 3.1 million of the USDA loans. If you don't know, forever and a day, since the water company was purchased by the town and condemned, we've been using USDA funding to fund everything. And which has been a very successful a partnership throughout time, which has been made things affordable to our ratepayers. And Nancy did a number of those as town manager through water and wastewater.
Just so I don't miss the opportunity, John, I've said this in public meetings before, but my bet is it's not as widely known as it should be how valuable the work and the work you've done on building that relationship with USDA has been.
Yeah,
it is one of those things that happens every day that wouldn't normally get called out because you sort of feel like, well, of course we got the USDA grant, but I know how hard you've worked that.
And Jim Jeremiah as well.
Responsive they are to Jim. I say
Jim takes so much credit too. He does so much of the back end work, and he has a lot of relationships over a number of years.
But I think it's important to call it out publicly as because it is immensely valuable.
Yeah, and it's
particularly when you read this warrant request and you realize that USDA allocated basically all of the money they had left for Rhode Island to Block Island.
Yes.
We don't hear that very often out here.
Yeah, and we're in a unique scenario with them. Being in Rhode Island, there are only a few other rural water, wastewater systems. So we are in this very unique situation.
Thank you for the work you do there.
So with that being said, Jim and I looked at the numbers and we're saying there's no way we're going to get to the finish line. Typically, I think they would wait until it goes out to bid. We knew that repooling day was coming up as well, which repooling day is when all the money leaves Rhode Island and goes somewhere else, which was on August 8th. So Jim and I hustled and got a USDA application in very quickly. USDA worked also very quickly, surprisingly, to get this done and get some paperwork and obligate the money to Block Island. So we did work a little, I think everything worked faster than a public body could almost work because everything was being done very quickly, which is, I believe, the first item there, which is if you guys would authorize Amy to sign a piece of paper that no one was comfortable signing without your authorization, which was in your packet. And then the second piece is getting on the warrant for this additional 942,000, borne on by the water ratepayers. This is, but we have to come through the town to get bonding authority. Yeah. We're not asking the taxpayers to pay for that. And obviously, I said this a long time ago to the council. I said, if we go forward with this, I said, the higher the cliff, the farther you can fall. And it's scary a little bit, but we also have people wanting to access town water. The Narragansett Inn is chomping at the bit. I had a conversation with Department of Health. They're ready to come online as soon as possible. We do have a lot of people who need clean drinking water. There's a lot of failing wells. I saw Stu here from the Barrington. Last year, luckily, we were able to pick them up. They had a catastrophic failure of their well. They had no water. They couldn't run their business or anything. I want to be there for those people. That's devastating for me as a water purveyor to say, well, we don't have enough when your well goes down and you can't run your business or you have E. coli in your water or what have you. My job is to provide clean drinking water. And it's not a good feeling to say, to look, it's hard to look at Stu in his face and say, well, you're going to sink the whole ship if we have an extra 1,200 gallons a day. So I feel like it is an important project. And, Amy and I have talked about the financials and, because it is scary to take out more money. And, we will get the money back. There's going to be some large chunks of allocation purchased, which we're going to set aside to start repaying some of our debt. So some of these allocation purchases are going to be rather big with the commercial. The residential purchases are small little ones, but these commercial purchases are rather you know, you're talking about in the hundreds of thousands of dollars more than the.
So
allows them
from
to
us, you
do.
need, A, the authorization, and B, in terms of the request for warrant item, will you just keep that on our radar?
It would
That-
actually be helpful in the water company's ongoing conversations with USDA if the council were prepared to express an intent to do that. That's just one more thing they can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would concur. Yeah. Yes. By the way, and we talked about worst case scenarios here with this. And we were able to work out something. If you don't know, it goes loan, grant. So you spend your loan money first, then your grant money. And Nancy knows, like, going back in there. So it was going to be loan, grant. And we went, well, I went, whoa, hold on. And I was like, I got to think about the worst case scenario. What if the voters say no? And so we got loan grant on the first one, and we got loan grant on the second one. We're going to be able to move forward and have the money to finish the awarded bid here of 1.45. And then we still have money left over to move forward in planning and everything with the current grant loan. So if everything does go sideways, they said it just gets canceled. They said, you know, I said, worst case scenario, the taxpayers say no at the town financial meeting. They said, then we just say this didn't work out. And it's not like we're spending money that we don't have or anything. I want to make that clear that we did build in safeties for that.
Great.
And it did get us loan grant is what we wanted in the first place. So
Just a question. So the warrant itself, this loan is paid back by the water users, correct?
that's correct.
But when it goes to the voters, does it go to the water users for the vote?
No, this
It goes
goes
to everybody?
to the
Yeah.
voters at financial town meeting. And that's because all borrowings of the water company are officially borrowings of the town of New Shoreham.
Okay.
So the taxpayer is the backstop,
Gotcha.
even though they are not the primary payer. And so obviously even the council can't make that commitment on the part of the voters. The most that you can do at this stage is an express an intent to bring the question forward.
And USDA was fine with that. And I think that's a great check and balance. I mean, you know, for the whole town, you know, and the water district as
So
well.
can we first have a motion to authorize Amy to sign the USDA document?
Document for what, $625,000 grant, $942,000 loan. I'll
You'll
make
make
that
that.
motion.
Is there a second? Any discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And can we have a motion to express the council's intent to request a warrant item authorizing borrowing of up to 942,000 for water improvements project 2023 at the next financial town meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Oh.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Okay.
Now, John,
Okay.
is this going to cover the new RO?
Yes, this is project completion.
This is
Yes.
everything.
This is everything. Yeah.
And
We're-
is there going to be, you're going to have to expand the building?
We're going up. So we can't really expand. I mean, the lots, I mean, you come up there sometime, we shoehorned a water tank in there. But we're also, right in the back is DEM too, because we're so close to the pond.
Yeah.
So going up and not increasing our footprint was the best option.
Oh, okay.
So where the current, you know, old archaic water boy unit from the 90s is, that'll be removed. A new RO will go down there, and we'll make it expandable. So, you know, I want to make sure that it's easy to put another one in 20 years. Hopefully I don't have to do it. And then we're going to put dormers up. We have to it's truss roofing. We have to, that's why there's a lot of structural involved. And then we'll put dormers upstairs, and that's kind of where offices, storage will be at that point in time. So the bottom where that stuff is now will be a treatment area.
Great.
Now, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll see you guys. I think we have a joint meeting in October or something, don't we?
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. So we'll see you then. And it was nice to give an update to you guys, as much as I don't like saying we're over budget essentially, but it was good to give an update to all you guys about this important project, which,
I mean, within reason, the costs are the costs and it's a vital project. I mean,
yeah, it's,
Also, when you have a budget, you have a plan, it's
Yeah.
nice to bring to us, so.
yeah. And, like I said, it's, some of these things were put together 4 years ago and, costs have exploded, but it's also, it's a lot to do a project out here. Every project I do out here, infrastructure projects, there's so many things you don't even think of that require lots of coordination, logistics, and which equals money.
Right.
But anyway, thank you guys. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I know
Yeah.
it's only half done, but that tank is beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's so much nicer to drive on Payne Road right now.
Yes,
For the
well,
last-
yeah, when we ripped up the road for the well lines, and I love that new blue, road mix they've been getting. It really sticks together. But this is the first big rain we've had since then, so I'm curious to see how it holds up. So, but anyway, thank you.
All right, item 9, the Thomas property units.
Yeah, so this is exciting. Most of the council already knows, but for the public, we did hold the Thomas Lottery last Friday. Is that? We had 3 employee applicants for the 3 units. As a reminder, the 4th unit is being held for an officer who's currently in the academy.
Right.
So we had 3 employee applicants for 3 units. We also had 7 non-employee affordable applicants. So if someone had withdrawn, we had a pool of 7 additional applicants, which is great.
It's helpful data to have, actually.
Yeah, and it was much more robust than it looked early on, I would say.
Yeah.
So there's much stronger numbers
Sure.
than we were expecting for a little while. So ultimately, we have 1 teacher, 1 librarian, and 1 water company employee, and then a police officer for the 4th. So the council did receive draft leases. These have been reviewed by the solicitor. They're also pretty standard for some of the other housing units that the town has, but I'm happy to take questions if anyone has any.
Any questions?
No, I'm glad to see that, you were able to fill it with town employees.
Feels good, doesn't it? It's nice to do something that makes you feel good.
When are they gonna be available to move in?
The lease starts September 1. If we can get anybody in a day or 2 before that, we'll accommodate that and make some adjustments on the fly, but I think we're going to be working right to September 1.
Great.
So,
And do you need a motion from us on all 3 leases?
yes.
Very
So,
well.
make a motion to approve I don't have the names in front of me, the 3 leases for fire number 197, fire number north, fire number 197 south, and fire 390 north, for the term September 1 of this year to, is it December 31st of,
It's September 1 through August 31.
August 31.
through what?
August 31.
August 31?
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? Sorry.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Good for you. You guys did great work rolling that out. I really appreciate it. Millie.
Millie
Look me
did
in the
most
eye.
of the
Thank you.
coordination on that, so thank you.
All right, item 10.
Next one is for the manager's house. You do have a recommendation in front of you for a 1-year lease agreement with Nettie Rose Cooley, Health Services CEO, for the rental of the manager's house. Essentially, we worked through the process set forth in the adopted policy and had 1 eligible employee express interest across the town and all of its related organizations. From a management perspective, for me, having a tenant whose occupancy is related to their employment is extremely valuable. So I'm very glad to make this recommendation as opposed to moving down to sort of the at-large lottery, which is the next step in our process. We have a qualified, vetted, eligible staff member. I'm also glad to have that house occupied. It's been
Yes.
vacant for quite some time, and it'll be good, not just for the house and for the employee, but also to bring that revenue into the town. So
I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Town
Is there
manager?
a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it.
Great.
All right.
you.
Anything future agendas?
No, I just want to go back to the public service announcements. Did we do anything since having you heard from our watch? Just thinking lifeguards and PD procedure on that.
On this one, no. It's pretty small scale. And to that extent, though, there have been a lot of conversations between fire, rescue, lifeguards under Dave and the EMA director. We have not done public announcements.
Were the lifeguards on duty before?
I believe they are, but I will double check.
That's pretty much where I was going with that.
I also reached out to Steve Filippi as a courtesy,
Great.
gave an update of the storm, particularly for undercurrent from that end of it also, since he's the other one with a beach with lifeguards and so forth. And then they talked about, touching base with Dave also.
Yeah, we also, particularly relative to the East Beach, did make some contingency plans for captains working out of Old Harbor who may be able to respond to an emergency rather than bringing our boats around from New Harbor, just to be more prompt and responsive. So.
I was just thinking more something like New Shore advises to stay out of the water.
And off the breakwater. Yeah.
I know that both the fire chief and the police chief have been engaged in active conversations about the breakwater management. So
Good.
they're keeping an eye out.
With each other or with people trying to walk?
With each other, outwards. Yes.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Can I just add,
Oh, sure.
we'll go back to, I keep mentioning the block island times, it seems like every week. So we have an article in a column in there about what to do when a hurricane comes.
Mhm.
I think that was written 20 years ago. And, so, I mean, I look at it briefly, but we may want to update it because there was a whole section about pets at one time too. Just take a look at it and go through it and see, because it may become more important in the next couple of months.